Hey folks, Jim Dunaway from the Next Round. It's time to look back and enjoy a week of Southeastern Conference football as we talk about what we saw in the field. And as always, we're excited to be partnered with our friends at Cowin Equipment. And they'd like to partner up with your company for all your heavy equipment needs. Visit everyone over at Cowin on their website at cowin.com to find out more about how you can save with your heavy equipment solution, from rental and new equipment sales to superior service and parts. It's all right there with our friends at Cowin Equipment. Visit cowin.com. That's cowin.com. Now let's check out the action.
As we get going today, guys, Alabama, in a year where connecting the dots from one Saturday to the next probably had not been any wilder, did what they did at the Iron Bowl to survive, and then did what they usually do to Kirby Smart's Georgia team. And I didn't see it happening from what I saw at Jordan-Hare to what I saw at Mercedes-Benz. A brilliant game from Alabama.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I had a feeling that Alabama would win that game. I had no idea they would win it like that. And there were so many unknowns coming into that game. What was the 14 playoff going to look like? Was Alabama going to be able to pull off the upset, or were they going to be out? Who was the Heisman Trophy winner going to be? All of that got answered in 60 minutes.
It really did. I mean, and yeah, I'll pat you on the back because you're one of the few that said Alabama would win the game in the media. Most of the media, we read it on, I can't even remember what show it was, they all run together. We read it from all the national guys. You read the people that said it. Alabama had no chance in that game. Alabama was showing up to pass the crown to Georgia. This is Kirby's time. This is Georgia's time. And I'm like you. I said 20-17 Georgia. I could envision a scenario in where, Alabama won one at the Horn. The scenario I could not envision was Alabama winning the way they won, where they dominated that game.
And what happened, Dunaway, when they dropped the early pick six? They had a pick six right there.
Yeah, Jordan Battle walks in on that one.
And you feel like that was kind of a gift from Stetson Bennett, and then you go down 10-0. Then I'm sure Alabama fans at that point were like, against this defense, we had that opportunity early, and now it's 10-0. Here we go.
The biggest surprise of all was the protection for Bryce Young.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing.
And I mean, he kept some plays alive, a lot of plays alive, but not as much as he had to at Jordan-Hare Stadium, and not as much as he had to at several times throughout the year. The line, the protection against that Georgia defensive front, which is still darn good, was amazing to me that line could improve so much in 1 week. And having time to sit back there and throw, the secondary for Georgia could not cover Mechie and Jamison Williams. They couldn't cover them. They couldn't cover Slade Bolden. Those guys were open. There were multiple receivers open on multiple plays.
Yeah, look, I mean, Bill O'Brien, I know he's taken a lot of criticism this year. I thought he called a brilliant game, and it does help when you have an offensive line that steps up. They were called out this past weekend, giving up 5 sacks against Auburn in the first half. And to not give up a sack on Saturday, truly, truly amazing. The factors that I thought, and we kind of laid these out, Georgia had yet to really play an elite offense.
Right.
We really, we didn't know the competition that Georgia had played. Alabama was truly battle tested, and then just the mental hurdle that is Kirby Smart against Nick Saban and Georgia against Alabama.
You just go in there, and we're walking past tailgate after tailgate after tailgate of Georgia fans, and they were going to crown Kirby Smart the new king of the SEC. And when it was all said and done, it was Nick Saban again, and Bryce Young wins the Heisman. So the Crimson Tide wins the football game 41-24.
You guys gave us a lot of really positive rat poison. The rat poison that you usually give us is usually fatal. But the rat poison that you put out there this week was yummy.
I think he's going crazy a little bit. I really do. First of all, there's not a lot of grown men that use yummy, but he can get away with it because he is the greatest that we've ever seen. It's just been such a different year, and this is one of the reasons that I was so surprised that Alabama at 11-1, and I know they look bad against Auburn, but look, that's a rivalry game, and you never know what's going to happen. But for nobody to give Alabama a chance all week, you knew this was going to be strong motivation.
We came in, we was the underdogs. People saying we was going to get whipped, blew out, all this other stuff. Like, we Alabama, man. Like, we ain't no D3 team. We ain't no none of that. Like, You know what I'm saying? Like, we come to play and we practice hard just like they come to play and practice hard. And, you know, I'm not disrespecting Georgia. Georgia has a great football team, but, you know, sometimes we work hard too for what we want. I just don't get, sometimes I feel like people think we do stuff on purpose, or it's never a day that offense and defense, we don't go out there, you know, we don't try to execute and we don't play hard and we give it all I got. We give it all I got every play we do on both sides of the ball. So it's never a time where one person is like, oh, I don't feel like. It's never that. We try to execute, but things happen. So we're just going to keep rolling off of that.
After a win. I mean, you saw Brown at his worst this weekend, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What would Will Anderson be like at his worst?
We Alabama, man.
The look at the Final Four is pretty simple. It's Alabama 1, Cincinnati 4. They'll play the early 2:30 game in Dallas. Then it's Michigan 2, Georgia drops to 3. They'll play the prime time game in the Orange Bowl down in Miami. The winners meet in Indianapolis for the national championship. And Kirby Smart, remember, was around in 2011, and he saw Alabama lose to LSU, and he saw what it takes to build up a locker room for a rematch situation like Alabama had with LSU down in New Orleans for that national championship games. Georgia was number 1. They're still in the playoffs, though. Here's Kirby Smart talking about that motivation, trying to get them ready for Michigan and then a possible rematch.
Oh, no, it didn't do any damage. No, what it did is reinvigorated our energy. It recenters you, right? I mean, I think one of their greatest thing is when they lost their game against Texas A&M, they were to garner some focus and some attention. I mean, to me, that's an opportunity for a wake-up call, if anything. Unfortunate that it comes in a setting like this. But, I mean, they're a really good football team, okay? And the narrative out there was, well, they just went at Auburn and they really struggled. And some of the sacks they gave up, their tackle didn't even get out of his stance. You know, the crowd noise was a major impact there. Auburn played man most of the down, almost every single play, and they won a lot of their battles that we didn't win tonight. But we knew the narrative coming in, these guys can throw the ball, and they got a really good quarterback. And they gave him an opportunity to make plays, and he made a lot of really good plays along with their wideouts.
Yeah, absolutely. They did that. And you've heard, Kirby's mentioned that. You've heard a couple other coaches say the reason why Alabama's offensive line was so bad. Barrett Jones brought it up, a couple other players along the way, that Auburn was just beating Alabama out of their stance because of the great Auburn student body and fans.
Well, his last point there, they've got a really good quarterback, and that's something that through 6 years has kind of haunted Kirby. Like, again, I thought Jake Fromm was really good at his freshman year, but he really didn't get better. You know, he didn't progressively get better like we thought he would and turn into an elite quarterback. And as elite of a recruiter as Kirby is, and look, he got it right with Justin Fields. He just didn't start him.
The best quarterback he's had played at Ohio State.
But can you imagine, you know, if he had a Bryce Young on that roster?
It'd be a different story.
It's what he's recruiting at such a high level, but they haven't gotten quarterback right.
Yeah. I mean, that is strange. He's had guys that are good enough to get him to the line, just maybe not over it.